Yeah. So again, we'll just talk about whatever we want to talk about today. So talk about cloning. So again, go ahead, start what you were saying.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, depending on what card you want to create, cloning is probably one of the fastest ways to create a card. If there's already an example that exists that you like, that would work for you. And I know we spent some time on last Tuesdays thinking about, who is our target who's going to get this card? What is the goal of the card? Those are the things that I'm thinking about when I go to create a card. And then the third thing, probably right off the top, does a card already exist that will cover this need for me? Because you've got one of two choices, right? Build it yourself, or success leaves clues. Let me copy something that somebody else has put out there, obviously with their permission. A big thing to take into consideration, Kathy, I know you would share this, is the easiest way to clone a card is to have the person who owns that card, one, make sure that cloning is turned on, and two, share that card with you via Shuffle. So that way it's sitting right there in your card index in your deck of cards, so that you can open up that card, go down and clone that card and create your version of it.
Well, and I have an additional thing, right? So not only are, maybe you're wanting to clone something because you don't want to, make it from scratch, maybe something out there already exists, or maybe there's something that, maybe your upline or a team member, or somebody that you already network with has created that you want to duplicate. But then for me and for some people on this call, they also might be making cards for others. Right. Yep. So I also need to make sure that I have a way to send that card to somebody, and then they can easily just put it straight into their account.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's a valid point too. In fact, if you're creating cards for others, you may be following the same format for all cards you create for those other people. Like maybe you have a template that you've been working off of. So not only are you cloning that card to create the card, you're sending it to that person via Shuffle so that they can clone it and have their own version. So cloning is this awesomely powerful path to create cards. Obviously, there's a lot of great templates in there. If you want to use a template and build from yourself, that's pretty much like cloning, right? I've already got a template to start with, but there are so many users who take their templates over the top. They dial them in. They, you see it and you're like, how do I get that one? So I would say the best tip I have is reach out to that person, or even in our social groups, if you're in LFI Insiders, post a comment. Does anybody have a template for X, Y, and Z? I do see those comments come up every now and then. And just having somebody else say, oh yeah, I've got one for real estate agents or roofers or insurance professionals or whatnot, you can start with that as the baseline, and that can really give you a head start.
Well, I've done the same thing, right? So if I don't have one from somebody, I have a library of ones that I keep that I've just made generic. I mean, they may not be the end all be all, but at least it would be something to start with, or it's something to show somebody, if they're looking for, whether or not they want to have a digital card, you can be like, hey, this is something you can, create with Shuffle. So,
well, Kathy, one thing I was thinking about, and this is another big reason to leverage Shuffle when networking, is you may have an account that allows you to have 10 cards. You may have a free account that allows you to have one card. But if you've got your card index, you can collect an unlimited number of cards. And to your point, having this repository that you can go back to your deck and look through those cards, primarily it's to get a hold of that person or refer that person. But secondarily, it could be, oh, I was looking, I just met a roofer or a chiropractor or a, XYZ. And I want to build them a promo card. Do I have somebody in my deck who is already one of those? Maybe I could ask them if I could leverage that template to go over there and help create a promo card. So I would say leverage your card index, leverage that deck of cards as much as possible.
100%. So let's talk about I can think of two flows: the friending somebody on Shuffle and then having that card, right? And then the template ID flow.
Yep.
Is there any other ways to clone that I'm not thinking of?
No, but I think the one that you mentioned at the end is something that a lot of people overlook. And maybe that's something worth sharing the screen on and showing, because when you build your card, and Kathy, I'm sure you have access to the demo account. When you build your card and you're going through that editor, one of the first things you'll see on there is the ability to clone that card or not. Like, are you turning cloning on or not? And just below that, there's actually a template ID. And that little template ID is specific to that card. And if you have cloning turned on, you don't even really need to share that card with somebody in order for them to clone it. They just need to know what template ID you were using.
That can be found under the pencil.
Yep.
And then here,
right down there where it's template ID search, and it gives it a little like 5-digit mixture of letters and numbers that can be looked up. And so that's something that you could send to somebody if they were asking to clone one of your cards, in lieu of sending it to them via Shuffle.
and again, I love this feature because this is kind of a newer feature. Hold on, I'm looking for my mouse. This is a newer feature, is being able to turn off cloning, right? So if you have perfected something and it is your, proprietary work and you don't want somebody to clone your card, you can shut cloning off, and that way somebody can't clone that card.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of it as well, right? I want to create a wall of my intellectual property in a way. I've created a card, and just as much as we want to share the wealth with everybody on here are all these designs and stuff, we also want to protect you. So you can turn cloning off on cards if you want to protect your layout. And then people are going to have to ask for permission, hey, can you please, or can you personally clone that card and make one for me or whatnot,
Well, I was going to try and get one that we could clone both ways so that we can talk about that. So let me run over here to the index and see if there's one here.
Yep, you're going to find a bunch of cards in there. You could probably grab that guy card from Austin there.
Okay, so that would be if it was sent to us. So let's talk about both ways. So let's talk about the original way first so that we don't confuse everybody. So the original way to clone a card is if someone has friended you, is the best way to think of it on Shuffle, which is when you discover someone. So that's discover here. It's either in your app or on your desktop. You can discover other users of Shuffle. So for example, this is a great way to think about it, is everyone that's in the meeting right now. If you want to go in, go to your Shuffle, go to your Discover, and look up everybody's names and send a connection request to them. That's a great way to not only talk about Shuffle, also to network with what you do, set up a 30-minute Zoom connect with that person, find out what they're doing, how are they using Shuffle. Great way to connect with other Shuffle users and build your personal network inside the Shuffle network.
Yep.
But here you would go in here, you would hit Discover, you would send a connection request to that person, and then the person would accept the request. So then that's kind of like you're considered friends in Shuffle. Exactly. And that's what opens up the portal of sending something via Shuffle. So then if you're going to send a card to that person, when you click on their information and you send a card, it will say, do you want to send it? It'll only give you, again, the options that you have for that person. Yep. Phone, email, text, how do you want to send it? And it will add the option of via Shuffle. So if you send something via Shuffle to another person, so that's when we go back to the card index.
And Kathy, it might make a little bit more sense from going from Discover to clicking on your contacts, because I want to call out on all of your contacts. When you've connected with somebody in Shuffle, you're going to see, like right there under Guy's contact, a little Shuffle icon pops up. All of these people, I can now send and receive cards via Shuffle. And that's sort of the prerequisite if I want to get their card into my deck through Shuffle for cloning. You can also open up cards in the browser and save them to your deck, but this is the original send it to me via Shuffle way.
Oh yeah, that's the other way. See, there's a third way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've discovered them, you've connected with them, you both are in each other's contacts now, you have each other's information. So that's where, again, so like to your point, if I wanted to go send something to Guy, it would give me the option to send it via Shuffle.
And these little navigations underneath Guy here, where you have the info and the channels and the activity, you're going to see more options there when you're connected. When it's just a contact of yours that you've got through a lead capture that you've added, you can see that list is reduced dramatically because they're just a contact. They can't send you anything. They can't receive anything from you within Shuffle. They can do it outside through text or email, etc. But we're talking about sending stuff through Shuffle so that we have it to clone.
Yep, absolutely. So then if I'm in my card index and Guy sent me a card and say it's this Austin, Texas realtor card, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I don't have a card like that, or I need a card like that, or for whatever reason, I want to clone it. Maybe this is my upline in my network marketing company. Maybe this is somebody I network with and it's an invitation to our networking group. Maybe it's a nonprofit that you want to share information about. It's just for whatever reason, you want to have a copy of that card in your account. All you do is you go to the 3 dots and you say clone card. Now, all the information, whatever is on that card, comes into my builder.
Yep.
And then I'm able to go through. Of course, this is probably a demo, something that Guy just made up real quick. I don't know what it is. And I can go through and I can make any changes, but I can, if I want 90% of this card to stay the same, right? I want the same video, I want the same information, I want the same words, and maybe I just want to change the picture to my picture. That's all I have to do is change the picture, change the name. So if I change this, it's just like editing a card that I built, but it was the information came from the cloned card.
And Kathy, while you're filling this out, I want to bring up a few things. You'll notice that when Kathy clicked on to clone this card, if the card was built in the advanced builder, it's going to open up in the advanced builder for you to start editing. If it was built in the mobile builder, it's going to open up in the mobile builder for you to start editing. A word of caution, if you are trying to clone somebody's card that they created from a marketplace template, and you do not have marketplace, it will not allow you to clone. It'll create an error or ask you to upgrade into that marketplace. And the other word of caution when cloning, and to Kathy, your point, it's going to verbatim make a direct mirrored duplicate of the card that you're cloning. So one thing that I always caution people is make sure you check the links, because sometimes I want that link to be my link and not Guy's link. And if I clone Guy's card and he has his links in there, they might be pointing to Guy's shopping cart or Guy's affiliate link or Guy's whatever. And I want to just quickly switch those over. So cloning is just sort of that starting ground for, hey, I can either recreate it to a T, no changes, or be aware that there are some things that on a card that you're cloning, you might want to adjust.
Absolutely. Yes. So once I do that, I make all my changes, I check all my links. Again, you can come back and edit this, but the point being is once I've made my changes and I hit save and I close out this card, now, if I'm in my cards, you can see right here that I have my own realtor card with all that information. It's gone from the card index and being Guy's card to my cards and being my card.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the first way to go through cloning a card. The second way would be using the code.
Yes.
Let me see. I think there should be a code on this one. We could talk about the WAG card.
Yep. And Kathy, one thing you might want to do once you grab that code is we're probably going to have to delete that example because we've reached our card limit, right? We've got 10 card slots. And here's the reality when you hit your limit on cards while Kathy's grabbing that code is you've got a choice to make once you hit your limit. Do I want to go back and look through all the cards that I've done in the past and get rid of one, knowing that these cards are evergreen, and if I've sent out a link, it could be evergreen forever? Do I want to eliminate that card and rebuild a new card? Or do I even want to go back to that card and maybe update or change that card out? However, knowing that I can't sort of keep those links and clone a card at the same time. I can't have the best of both worlds. The other option, upgrade to add 100 cards. So the choice is yours. Be thinking about that when you go in and create cards. I know I myself have hit my limit a few times, and thankfully I'm able to quickly turn on more cards because I don't want to lose any of the ones that I have.
I was gonna say, that just pained me to delete that.
I know, we just created it, what,
Not
but
a deleter. I'm not a deleter. Okay, so let's talk about the way of doing it through the template ID. So the nice thing about the template ID is, especially if somebody's newer to Shuffle and they don't understand the Discover and the how to get the card from the index and that way of doing it. So if I've created a card for somebody, or I have a card and somebody's like, hey, can I get a copy of that? Absolutely. The easiest way to do that is I go, again, on the desktop, I hit edit on the card that they want to clone. I come up to the pencil, and then I grab that template ID. So for example, this one is 12JFQM, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and hit copy. So typically I would just copy that, I'd send it to the person, and they could clone it from there. So the way that works then.
And one thing you want to be aware of when you're doing that, Kathy, is also give them a little bit of an indication on what builder to be using or searching that template ID under. So you'll notice when we opened up that card, we're in the advanced builder. So when Kathy goes to create the card and add a new card, she'll give those two options, mobile or desktop. She's going to select that advanced desktop builder to do the template search for in order to find our WAG card here.
That's true. So this one, we're going to go ahead, like he said. So I know this is a desktop built card, and I know that my template ID goes in this box right here. So that's all I need is that code. I don't have to be friends with the person who created it. I just enter that code in the box and hit search. And there it is right there. So there's the customer support WAG card. And we're calling it WAG. So it's Week at a Glance. It's the new Week at a Glance card if you haven't seen it yet. And I'm going to go ahead and hit clone on that. So here's the new card. If anybody doesn't have this yet, you're welcome to, I can actually drop that code in the chat.
Well, an easier code, Kathy, that we can drop out there. If you just want to type in WAAG, it will pull up this card.
Right, that's right. We built it in the.
So I'll put it into the chat. It's WAAG if you want the Week at a Glance card, and you can use that template for yourself and generate that card. But again, as an example, you can use any of those little code templates to pull up a template, including some of these ones that already have template IDs.
Yeah, so the key on this one, just so you guys know about the Week at a Glance, if you search it that way, it's just going to let you save it as is. If you do it like ER is going to put in the code WAAG, it's going to let you put in your name and information on the back side of this card. What we did is we made this card super generic, so any one of us can share it. It just has the customer support as the name of the card. So if somebody was to save this card into their phone contacts, it just says the customer support LFI support at LFI.com. Has nobody's name, nobody's phone number. It's just very, very generic for you guys to be able to send this out to anyone that you want to. This card in particular, all you can really edit is the paragraph. Everything else is pretty much locked down. If you want to, have that, show that, not show that, it's up to you. But we just made it so you guys can have all the links to everything that goes on during the week. So I just use that as an example. I don't know if that was the best cloning example or not, but
it works with cloning from the standpoint of you can pretty much clone any card within the Shuffle ecosystem, as long as you either have it shared to you in your card index and it's unlocked to be cloned, or you have the little template ID for it that somebody's given you.
Yep. And then the third way, which is actually kind of the fun way, the sneaky way, is when I'm trying to see somebody's card or how they built something or what they did. If somebody, or typically the times I use this is if somebody puts a card link up on Insiders and is like, hey, I can't figure out how to do this, or I can't, they're trying to figure something out in their card. So what I do is I pop it open in Insiders, I save it to my Shuffle. Now it's in my card index, and I can kind of clone it and look and see all the elements and see what it is that they did and where they need some help. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so questions, go, Ruben.
Yes, I remember your golden rule a long time ago, Kathy, is be sure you know what you're doing before you delete a card.
Yes.
Okay. So we're reviewing all these 100 cards, and all of a sudden we come across a card that we go, wait a minute. If I Google that, it's not wrong. It's not what I want. Okay. So if I go to that card, and let's say it's out there in Evergreen, and I delete it, what happens? Does it completely go out of Google, out of social media, or whatever? What?
Yeah, so this is a great question. What happens when I get rid of a card and all of the links that I've sent out into the ethos that are still floating around? What happens to those? Those links still exist. This is the power of the internet, right? It's evergreen. So if you post a link to a card in social media and you go back to that group and scroll long enough, you're going to find the link that you posted. But Ruben, to your question, if you delete the card that is associated with that link, it will just redirect back to our main Shuffle, LFI Shuffle page, the main website. So it's not going to go to a dead link, but it will direct that person back to information about Shuffle. But it will not be that card because that card has been deleted. Gotcha. So something to keep in mind is the power of these evergreen cards. If you're posting them online specifically, and I've been doing stuff like this for the last 20 years, they're evergreen. It's like having a digital billboard that cars or eyeballs may drive by depending on where you have those links posted.
Edit before you delete, edit. Edit.
Yeah, I think that's a good order of operations, Kathy, is you think about it, right? Like the last thing I want to do is delete a card unless I know, like I look down and I see the sins and the views and I see that it's at 0 and I'm like, this was one that I was playing around with and I haven't really shared. But the moment that I go to a card and I see activity, like I've generated links and I've done this stuff, or I have campaigns and I know where it's been posted, I'm much better off editing that card, even if it means going back and rebuilding it within the editor, to look like something completely different. I would rather do that before I delete. Agreed.
Any other questions on cloning, on other? Oh, wait, Gareth.
I see a question from Kathy in the comments here.
Okay.
If we go in and view one of the cards, so what I want to do, Kathy, this works really well within mobile browsing. So when you view a card and you go on that card, and Kathy, maybe we can pull up the weekend, that Greg Boone card example is fine. If we hit a preview of that card, and again, this works really well on mobile. It'll be interesting to see how it works on desktop here. What a great card. I'm hungry now. If we scroll down on this card, look at that. What a great card, right? Okay, you see how there's a forward and a save at the bottom of the card? If you click on the save option, Kathy, when you're on your mobile device, it's going to pop up a save to contacts or save to card index here. Once you save it to your card index, if this card is unlocked and clonable, you can clone this template. And so then it would prompt you to either open the Shuffle app, which we're on the browser, and it's going to launch Shuffle and pull us in and go straight in there. And then we'd see it added to the card index. This is sort of weird because it's our own card. So it might not work here in this example. But if it was somebody else's card that we viewed, it would arrive into our card index. And then if it was unlocked, we could then go down and clone that card.
Yep, that's my big secret. It's always a fun way to see what other people are making or how they did it. Anna said, how do we know if we're on the desktop or app creation area?
Yep, so let's do this, Kathy. If you can go back to our cards. Mm-hmm. And let's make sure we have a spot available. Okay, let's get rid of our second WAG card, not the first one. We definitely don't want to get rid of that one because I've been sharing it out.
I need to put a do not delete.
Yeah, and you can label that in your labels, guys, like never delete, you know what I mean? Make notes for yourself. Okay, so if you go to add a card, Kathy, and we're just going to build a card, create a card, what you will know, and this is a helpful tip when you create cards, the mobile editor has a different view than the desktop editor. So when you click on that mobile editor, you're going to see it's more set up where you have templates. And if we mouse over to the third one over and select that, Kathy, yeah. There we go. When you select a template here, you can see it has these steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. That's what you're going to see, that you know that it was a mobile editor card. Also, these cards, they're the only templates that you can directly edit from your mobile app as well. So if you think I'm going to be out in the field and I'm going to need to update a card, you're going to want to lean more in the direction of mobile. Also, this is a much easier format to edit, in my opinion, because the desktop editor has a lot more robust capability. But as they say in the superhero world, with great power comes great responsibility. You have to know how to use the dragging and the dropping and the gears and the containers and those types of things within that desktop editor. So Kathy, if you can X this editor out, hit 1 second, hit no real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I just want you to hit the next step so somebody can see that on the mobile editor, you're really just using a form on the side of the template. So we can see it's brought in our information and we can add the title and we can go through stuff here. And then Kathy, if you scroll all the way down in here, we've seen it under the pencil icon in the desktop editor. But on here, when you scroll all the way down on that form, you're going to see the cloning enabled for this template. And when you turn it on, you'll see that little template search ID and it'll pop up right there. That's the code that Kathy had in the desktop editor that was underneath the pencil. You're going to find it here under the info section in the mobile editor. Just wanted to point that out, Kathy. If we want to close this card out, exit out.
Well, do you want to show, should we show where to put that template ID? Because that is a different spot.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
We can. Now, we don't have this card saved, so that template ID will no longer work, but we can call out where it is located.
Oh, we can't. Hold on. We'll save it. What does it need? I think that's all it needs.
The challenge is we're going to have no spots left.
That's okay. We'll take off something.
Okay.
Doug needs to upgrade. All right, there we go.
Okay, so if you're cloning from a mobile card, because we looked at cloning from a desktop card, if Kathy, you go up to create, and when you select the mobile option, and it pulls up all of those row of templates that you see coming up right now, if you actually go all the way over to the left-hand side, and you might have to use the little arrows that you're seeing, you're going to see a little template ID search right there, and that's where you can put the template ID that somebody gave you. So that's why I called out, let them know when you share that ID, if you're helping somebody clone, this is a mobile ID or this is a desktop ID. So they know, oh, okay, I'm going to use the sample card for support and training, and then I'll pop it up.
There's just so many ways. I know, it's crazy.
Again, the whole goal here is how do we simplify the process of creating our cards? The whole goal is having something worth sharing, not spending all your time building something. So we definitely want to make sure that any level of expertise can come in and create something, even if it means just cloning something that already exists.
Well, I think too, though, it's also having multiple ways to do something, right? So the fact that you're not locked into one thing. Oh, I built that on mobile. Now I can't, clone it. Oh, I built it on desktop. Now I can't clone it. No, there's multiple ways to clone it. There's multiple ways to get it from someone else. Again, this does maybe prompt you also to think, though, if it is something you don't want cloned, if it's out in the stratosphere and it's a shuffle user and they hit save to my index, maybe it is something that you want to lock that cloning capability and only offer it to people when they ask.
Yeah.
So.
I think a good example of that might be if you've created a landing page. I know we've done several trainings, masterminds, and things like that in weeks past where we've talked about sales funnels or we've talked about sites and things like that. You might want to lock that down so it's a little bit harder for people to clone. You want to just toggle that switch off. So be aware of that. You've got that power.
So we have a couple of more questions. I was trying to scroll through chat while you're talking. So you got Kathy's question about cloning, and then is there a limit to the amount of people that we can have saved as contacts? Okay, you got that one. Nope. All right, awesome. Sorry, I was
Yeah,
going
but for
back.
those of you who aren't reading the chat here, there is no limit on contacts, everybody. This is the benefit, right? Just like there's no limit on the number of cards you can collect in your card index. This is all about networking. So we want it to be limitless. We can build as big of a network on here that we want to manage as possible. And then it's about your marketing aspect. And with that, it's going to be limited just based on your account type. Do you have 1 card, 10 cards, 100 cards, 200 cards, etc.?
And then Anna had a secondary question in her question. How do you find cards to clone? So I think, again, it's kind of like what we just talked about, either specifically asking on insiders or affiliates, hey, does anybody have a realtor card, hairdresser card, whatever, chiropractor, whatever you're looking for, if there's a specific topic, or going through and just seeing some card links that people have, put on there for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was like, hey, I'm having a question, or I'm having, I'm not sure how to do this. If it's a card link, it's potential that something that you can clone and go in and create, something from theirs.
Yep.
Ruben.
Yes, if someone has Marketplace
Mhm.
and we have Marketplace, is there a template number for that we can just send them that and then they get the Marketplace template?
Good question. I don't know if there's a specific template ID in Marketplace cards, but I do know that if they sent you that card via Shuffle and you go to clone it out of your card index, like we went through earlier, that it will be clonable because you have Marketplace. So as I'm looking through some of these, we can select one of these, Kathy. I don't know if this account is tied to Marketplace.
Oh, it's not. Sorry.
Yeah. That would be the only thing. I'd have to get back to you, Ruben, on that, on whether these have specific template IDs. What I could imagine is not under the general template in Marketplace, but once you build a Marketplace card, you will see that corresponding ID under the pencil icon, like what Kathy was showing earlier.
Okay, once built, then it'll happen.
Yep. So once you build a card using the Marketplace, so Ruben, in this example, let's say Ruben has Marketplace and Ruben builds a card using a Marketplace template. And then Ruben says, ER, you've got to use this template. I built it using a Marketplace, and you send it to me via Shuffle. I could clone it there, or you, under the editor, under that pencil icon where you put the card title and everything, you could say, ER, here is the code for the Marketplace template card that I used. Because every time you save a card, it is no longer a template, it is your card. So Ruben, when you do that, you're actually giving me your card because you've put information in that template and built a card about it. So when I clone it, it's going to be a clone of your card, not of the Marketplace template.
Okay, a follow-up question here is that if I have, if I intended to build a card for someone and to give them an idea, let's say it's a realtor and I want to send them a card. I send them the Marketplace card just to give them an overview, and maybe I'll put in a few things or whatever. That becomes my card, so I have some control over the elements. But let's say they like it and they go, hey, I'd like to have that on their end. What do we do for them to keep it?
Yep. So when they clone that card, they should just save it as is. Now, here's the reality with cloning. Once you clone, think about it like a carbon copy, Ruben. Once I make a copy, if Ruben goes back and adjusts or builds up this card, the clone version stays where it was built at, the clone. It will not stay in sync with the updates that Ruben's doing. So the moment I clone something, I'm making a version for myself from their version at that time. So those cards can start to progress away from each other if you're going back and updating the card. So another thing to keep in mind, Ruben, is if you do go back to your card that you know people have cloned, you may want to, if you update that card, let those people know, hey guys, I've made a card, I've made an update. You might want to re-clone this card and get rid of the old one.
Okay.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, tell me if I'm wrong on your question. So if you send it to somebody as kind of a promotional almost. They
Promo.
need, if they want to keep that card, they would need to join Shuffle and join Marketplace
Oh,
to be able to
yes.
keep that card.
Right,
Yes.
right. We advise them that up front, but
Yes.
we can go ahead and send a promo card from Marketplace to them, correct?
Right.
Yep.
It's not really a promo. I mean, it's just basically one of your cards that you've created with their information on it. Yes.
I got you. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Hold on one second. This is a long one. I gotta read this one. Can we, the daily specific meetings put on the WAG, exactly what needs those meetings will meet would be helpful. Okay, yeah, Bethany, we can put a little bit more information on the WAG card. It was, or maybe it just got everybody here because they weren't sure exactly what they were coming for.
Or maybe that's it, right? Curiosity. But Kathy, if you want to pull up that WAG card really quick, you even have it in there. We could preview it. Bethany, let me give you a quick rundown because we tried to make the titles a little bit descriptive on this. So Kathy, if you want to just preview that card and we'll pull it up. There's 4 real events that we have during the week, and then a 5th one that's pretty much an all-day thing. Sprint planning, we're firm believers that you got to have a plan. You got to execute on that plan. And it doesn't matter what you're planning for. The goal is make a plan. Obviously, a lot of us are in business, but there are other things, your health, your wellness, your spirituality. You can make a plan for anything. We just talk about making a plan for the week so we can win the week. Tech Tuesdays, it's exactly that. It's all about the technology. We get to spend a little bit of time with our master trainer here, Kathy Inman, and she's going to teach us about tips and tricks and all this stuff so we get the most use out of the technology. Edge Global Coaching, this is the mindset of a champion. These are skill sets that you can use to perform at peak performance, let's say. So that's a third party that you can tap into. On Thursdays, we do a general roundtable mastermind discussion. So the topic changes all the time. And then Friday with the founders is that Guy and I, co-founders here at LFI, come on. We talk all things LFI. Maybe it's an announcement of what's going on. Maybe it's a topic or a thought we had during the day. And we invite the community to have a conversation. We also go through a brief overview of LFI's affiliate program. So I know that's that in a nutshell. I know, Kathy, maybe there's an opportunity to add a little bit more context, but we don't want to overwhelm the viewer of this card with all things. I think the curiosity comment is probably the best part of it.
Right. Well, and sometimes it's, roundtable can be a topic. Roundtable might be networking. I mean, it changes kind of depending on what we want to do those days too. Roundtable is kind of an open mic night for ER or open mic day.
Right.
So I love that. Okay. Then we had a question about, can we talk a little bit about what is Marketplace?
Yeah, let's jump over back into the application and underneath that advanced builder, when you go to create under desktop here, you have an option to build from scratch, right? Using some of the templates, or you can see another tab at the top called Marketplace. One of the benefits here at Shuffle is a little bit leaning more into done for you. We truly think you can create anything that you envision within the application if you acquire the skills on how to use and adjust the templates, drag and drop, etc. But we also understand some people need a baseline starting ground, right? Maybe you've never built a site or a page before. You want to flip through and see, oh, this one would work great for me. I provide a service or an event or a real estate, etc. You could go through, and there's a good chance that there's a template in here. We had a discussion a while back about link hubs. How do I create one place? If you're on, I think Instagram, you only get one link there. So link it to a link hub card where you can have all of your outbound links. Well, the card is already done for you. So you can go on ahead and select that template and get a little bit off to a head start in filling out what's already been built. There is an additional fee for that, Rose, just to be aware. And I think it's right now at like $5 a month.
Yep. All these templates are already built for you. I'm just tapping through so you can see some of the examples.
You could scroll and scroll and scroll. I mean, if you ran a lawn care company, a construction company, maybe it's jewelry, cars, mortgage, you think there's probably a template somewhere in the marketplace that covers.
And then you can preview it so you can get an idea what it looks like. Again, everything's already built for you. All you do is go in and change the name, put in your links, put in your words, but all of the background and all of the things are already written up and not written up, but placed in the little boxes, makes it all look very professionally done.
And here's the cool part, Kathy, that I think is sort of a hidden gem within Marketplace is these layouts are all done. But if it's under a specific category, like let's say this is a wedding card, you know what I mean? And maybe I'm a wedding planner and you're a real estate agent. You could potentially leverage this same card and just go in and adjust the photos and things and keep that same layout. So I don't want people on this call to think I'm going to be confined to what that card's general purpose as it's listed in the Marketplace is. If it's a real estate card, you could still use it for something else. You're just going to need to go in and adjust some of the pictures and stuff like that. But the layout is really where we're trying to give an example. In this case, you know, a relationship expert example. But you could go in here and modify this and, you know, it could be a dog walking company or whatever.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, it's super cute. Like this one in particular is super cute. I love the little subscribe buttons, the book now. I mean, I can see, you know, even Caitlin turning this into like a makeup card, you know,
Exactly.
There's lots of things you could do with that. Again, it just gives you the background. It gives you everything that you don't want to sit there and maybe take the time to build. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're happy to explain that. I've got about 5 more minutes, you guys. I'm so sorry I have to jump a little bit early today. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything about any cloning, anything we've talked about, anything we haven't talked about? Any questions at all? I can't see. Yeah, hey Anna.
Your hand.
And I'm going to confuse everybody. I know that I was going really well for a while, but my system has still emptied all these files out. And now I'm kind of a little bit lost. Can you go over one more time how I can clone, how I can locate, clone the WAG card?
Yeah,
I just need to
we'll
go
show
through
you
that process.
even another way than we even did.
Okay, you're
It's
so
the
full magic.
easiest- It's the easiest way. Oh, it's ER's magic. All right, so I get to just teach the magic. Do we have to be under standard templates? I'm not sure. So what you want to do is under the template ID, you simply put in WAAG
Okay,
search. Oh, it's already in my list. I don't know why it's not showing my list though. Hold on.
Refresh real quick.
There it
There
is.
we go.
So because I already have it, it's right here.
But let's
If I
delete it. You can go ahead and X that out, Kathy, and
Yeah.
we'll do it in the search box so we can all see the magic of finding something.
thank
So
you.
if it's something that corporate built, WAAG, we give you a little template ID number, you search it. It shows up in your card options to build. You select it. Now, this is where I was talking about earlier. So we've done this, so it's very basic. Matter of fact, I didn't even, Douglas is this training account. So that's why his
Okay.
name is coming up in here right now, right? So if you want to even leave it generic, you can, which we just left it with just like LFI was the name and everything else was blank. It's just said like support and training, or you
Okay.
can put your name and information in there. Just realize that your name and information will not show on the front of the card,
Right.
but it will show if someone saves the card to their phone. So whatever you put in here is simply going to be saved if they put it in their phone. But for you as a Shuffle user, if you're just like, I just need that in my account, all you do is do the search token,
Gee.
select it. Now you have it in your account.
Okay,
You personalize and then put into your cards.
thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I knew how to get to the card. I just didn't know how to locate it in there as a corporate generated item. So
Yep.
Yeah,
that
not a
was my
problem.
biggie. Thank
Not a
you.
problem. Yes. And then the theory being, and this is like when somebody's interested in a corporate card or something that's made by Shuffle, is that if we go in there and we can make any of these updates that we want to make, then it will trickle down to everyone that's already saved it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
And
think
if
that
someone has existing branding, we send them to support@lfi.com to get help to put that in their card. Is that right?
so if they're
I
looking.
know that's an additional fee.
Yes, yes. So that's what I was going to say. If somebody out there is looking for a card, a custom card built for them, and maybe it's an individual or maybe it's an entire team of people that all want to be using the same card, then to Kathy's point and to the question that Ruben asked earlier, we can set that card up as a corporate template like the WAG card is. And the benefit of doing that versus cloning, okay, so we're sort of moving past cloning into these corporate templates. The benefit there is if we update that card or that template in the future, all of those, it already gets reflected, because instead of using a clone, meaning when I clone something, it becomes my version and not that existing version. But when I use a corporate card, it uses that master template every time. So whenever that master template is updated, those updates are reflected on anybody who's used that master template. They do need to reach out to support@lfi.com. And depending on the complexity of it, Anna, there is a fee. The fee ranges typically between $250 to $500, but it's a one-time fee. And then once the card is created, everybody who they want to give that card ID to can use it.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have
Get it
we have
done.
some customers that do that, have like really large network marketing teams, and they want to control
Well,
kind of what their team is sending out.
I'm thinking about associations
Absolutely.
as an additional fundraiser,
Yep.
Absolutely.
and have their little logo up at the top, you know, you're a member of,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce kind of
Yep.
thing right there on every one of them.
100%. You're tracking along, Anna. And in fact, I would say let's connect on a sideline conversation. I can fill you in on some of the details because we've done some projects like that before.
Perfect.
Happy to help.
Can we use the WAG card as a demo card, send it to ourselves? Absolutely. So for me, so the WAG card for me is actually saved to my home screen on my phone. So you can send it to yourself. You can put it in your own card index or in your own set of cards and send it from yourself. Like I said, I save mine to my home screen. I do the same thing during the week, right? I'm like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. I go to the card, I push the button, I'm in the Zoom, right? So, I mean, I use it as a easy way to find the meetings.
I'm the same.
100%.
In a tab. I keep it in a tab on my phone and on the computer and just jump to it for quick access.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, if you guys, yes, certainly. If you guys don't have any other questions, we're going to wrap up a little bit early today. I'm sorry, I have another meeting to jump to. How do we get hold if you need extra help? Support@lfi.com is our awesome support desk. They can either help you or they can point you in the direction of who it is that can't help you.
Absolutely.
Yep. LFI, I can put that in the thing real quick. Support@lfi.com. He beat me to it. He's a faster typer than I am. All right, guys, I hope everybody has a fantastic week. If you have anything that you want us to train on specifically, please let us know. Otherwise, we'll just keep picking topics and we'll just keep talking about Shuffle and how to network with Shuffle and how to market yourself with Shuffle and all the good things about Shuffle. So have a great week. I will see you guys next Tuesday.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Yeah, you
everybody.
too. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
absolutely. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Great, as usual.
Yay. Glad it was helpful.
Bye, Kathy. I sent you a
Bye,
message.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kathy. I sent you a message.
I saw it. I'll go grab it. Thanks, Greg.
Cool. You bet. Bye.
Bye, everyone.